Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Savage Sports Podcast. This is the podcast for racquetball and all sports. Today we have Women's World LPR Tour number 9 pro, Cristina Amaya. Hi, Cristina. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good.
So, everybody's holed up right now because of the coronavirus. What are some of the things that you're doing right now because you're holed up?
I've been reading. I've been doing like puzzles and I've been training. Of course, I haven't stopped training. No gym, but I use the backyard of the house that we live in, and we're using like cement bricks to lift them like as weights and like use them for like steps, stuff like that. We're just like using our imagination to make up with something so we can work out.
Oh yeah, I bet. Now, and I bet it's a little bit easier for motivation. You have your own trainer right next to you.
Sí, ella es María Paz. Ella me ha ayudado muchísimo o sea, con mi entrenamiento. Ahorita estoy con yeso todavía. Me partí mi muñeca, me fracturé la muñeca hace un mes y me ha ayudado a adaptar ejercicios para poder hacerlo sin un brazo. Entonces, pues es de muchísima ayuda.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit more about that arm of yours. How did you get injured right there?
I was coming back from training in my bike, in my bicycle, and right before, like less than a block away from my house, I was trying to avoid a drain in the street, and I didn't see there was a little hole in the street, and the front tire got stuck in it, so I kind of flew to the front, and I landed it in both hands, but with the angle that I was, like, I don't know, the angle I took, all the weight went to my left wrist, so I landed on my wrist, and then I kind of rolled, and I stood up right away, and then I grabbed my bike, and when I looked at the wrist, I was like, oh, this is not good.
Right, and how's that been doing recently?
It's good. Hopefully next week they'll take out the cast. Like, we'll have to take some x-rays before. Supposedly I had an appointment with the doctor this week, but with all this coronavirus thing, we don't really want to be at hospitals, so
you might not be the priority right now to take off your cast.
Exactly. So I talked to the doctor, and he said, like, next week, let's just try to get some x-rays, and if everything looks good, I'm gonna just take out the cast and the pins.
That's amazing. That's probably one of the few positive things, is that by the time you're all healed and back to full strength, you could play, and everything will be back and ready.
Yeah, definitely. Yo estaba súper triste porque me iba a perder del Panamericano y del torneo de San Antonio, pero pues tuve suerte. Dentro de todo lo malo de este virus, para mí me benefició un poco porque el Panamericano se suspendió y el torneo de San Antonio también, entonces quiere decir que no me voy a perder de ninguna competencia.
Yeah, I'm really sad about not getting to watch the Pan Americans and going to the Alamo as well. You were going to be representing Colombia, correct?
Yes.
And it's so much fun to watch the Pan American Games. Watched them last year, and it's one of the good competitions. Just like the Olympics, but probably the biggest one for racquetball in terms of country per country. can you talk a little bit about why you go to the Pan American Games, how you got selected for that, and what's that like in English this time?
Well, Pan American Games are every 4 years. Like this time, it was just the Pan American Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Like as you said, it's like the Olympics, but in a smaller way. It's actually the biggest competition in racquetball because it's like recognized by all the countries, like at the most important competitions for every Olympic committee in each country. So it's big and it's amazing, like being there with all these athletes of every sport. How I got into the team, like right now, is we don't really have like a qualifier tournament or anything, because we're just a few athletes, and since both of us are like in the like highest ranked in the LPRT, they just select us to go, pretty much. Like we don't really have to qualify.
Who's that?
It's Adriana and me.
Adriana, okay. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I know it's the goal of almost all of the... Oh, just a second. Okay, we're back. I think I lost you there for a second.
Yeah.
So I think it's the goal of probably most racquetball players to go to the Pan American Games. So I think that's really cool that you get to go, or will get to go.
Yeah, I mean, just the experience of being there is like, it's a win.
Oh, I'm sure. Now, you said you've been reading and doing puzzles. What's a book that you got to read recently?
I read an Italian. It's like a diary of an Italian kid. This happened in 1880, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty cool. Like it's not a heavy book. Like it's pretty light and easy to read. And he talks about everything. It's a diary, so he talks about every day at his school with his parents and what happened, and they talk a lot about the war in Italy, and they tell like little stories about the war, and it's pretty cool. It's called in Spanish it's Corazón. It's like heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from Edmundo Amici.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I've been reading all the Harry Potter books that are on the side.
Oh, I love those. I read them all.
Yeah, have you read all the side ones about Quidditch and Fantastic Beasts?
I read one about other witches and wizards, and I can't remember the name. It was in Spanish. It was a long time ago because I read them when I was in high school, so it was a long time ago.
There's some new ones since then. If you want, I can send you the link later.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Okay. Yeah, I know racquetball players, since racquetball is such a sport in the mind, most of us are big nerds.
I don't know. I don't consider myself a nerd just because I don't like, I like Harry Potter, but like I haven't really read any other books like that.
Uh-huh.
Like I like some nerd stuff, but I'm not quite there.
Well, I'm not saying like geek, but nerd, Anyways, tomato.
Yeah.
So, back to racquetball. You can answer this one in Spanish if you like. In the past 12 months, tell us a little bit about one of your favorite matches and how that match went down in as much detail as you'd like.
Mi partido favorito en estos 12 meses. Creo que he tenido varios en los que no necesariamente he ganado, pero he sentido que he jugado mi mejor racquetball. Yo creo que fue contra Monse Mejía en el Sweet Caroline.
Okay.
Hubo un par de discusiones como con respecto a hinders de cancha y así, pues parte del juego, pero siento que fue un partido de muy buen nivel de ambas, un partido muy reñido y siento que las dos jugamos muy bien.
Okay, that's very cool. And since I didn't translate very well that last part, what was the last part you said, if you could translate that into English?
That there were some arguments about like core hinders and stuff during the match. But I think we both played really good racquetball, a lot of control, and that's why I liked it a lot. Even though I lost, I think that was a really good match.
Okay, cool. Never mind, I did hear it correctly. I just wanted to make sure. So yeah, the Sweet Caroline match with Monse Mejia, that was one of your favorites in the past 12 months?
Yes.
Yeah, that always happens sometimes. Sometimes you don't get the calls that you want, but you just got to live with whatever's on the court.
Yeah, and it's all part of the game.
Yes, it's all part of the game. Now, speaking of the LPRT, I've been listening to you a lot online, doing commentating for the LPRT. How are you liking that, and what made you start doing that?
I do it just when when I really don't have anything else to do at that moment, and they need somebody to help. So I go there and I kind of enjoy it. Actually, it's really hard when you first start because you don't really know what to say. But when you start and when you get the rhythm, let's put it that way.
Right.
It's kind of cool, and I think I did that the first time, like I don't know when we started streaming, and I don't do it very often. But I think it's good to have different people, different points of view. I remember one time I did it with Erica Manila, and it was actually pretty fun to do because we started chatting and like I don't know, we were just like enjoying it so much, and I started to talk a little bit in Spanish, and people started to make questions in Spanish and at the chat and everything. So I think that would be something really good to add sometimes if we can, because a lot of people like from Bolivia, from Mexico watch us. So
yes, absolutely.
They get the chance to understand what's going on.
Right, I think at least we should start having subtitles in English and Spanish for all matches. And because our audience is almost more than 50% Spanish.
Yes.
And so I'm really loving the new stuff that the LPRT is doing with all the like Spanish Instagrams and doing some Spanish live streams. Because I'm always working on my Spanish, and especially listening and talking. But English is going to be the one I'm going to use here for the most part, since I can talk really fast in English, and I I can't necessarily catch up in Spanish. I talk really slowly, or I can't talk at the same speed I can listen.
Okay.
And so, when we meet each other again in the future, I'll do some Spanish questions with you in person.
Okay, that'll be great.
Yeah, of course. So, say that everything was back up tomorrow. Who is your ideal grudge match tomorrow evening, noon, grudge match? Cristina Amaya versus...
I don't know. There are a bunch of players that I love to play against. I like my matches against Monse. I like my matches against Maria Jose Vargas. When Frederick was playing, I love to play against her. Against Samantha Salas. Like, there are a bunch of players that I would love to play. Like, I like the way they play because they make me play better.
Mm-hmm. So you're just itching to play. Any LPRT player, you're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I think everybody is totally with you right now, and they feel what you've been feeling for the past 2 or 3 months.
Sorry? Can you repeat that?
I said, I think everybody is with you now. You since you've been injured.
Yes.
You haven't gotten to play in a while, or have you been playing with your left hand?
No, I broke my left wrist.
Oh, okay.
I've been able to do like everything with my right hand, but I haven't been able to play or anything.
Yeah.
Since I got surgery and pins, so I can move. Like, I've been training, but it's kind of dangerous if I get into the court.
Yeah.
Because I could fall, or if somebody hits me with the racket, or if I don't know, and it's kind of uncomfortable because I have my cast goes all the way to my almost to my shoulder, so that angle that I have my arm doesn't let me really like hit the ball.
Okay, yeah.
So and I think I was like 2 weeks, like 2 weeks after my surgery, all this started to happen. So I've been in my house for the last like 10 days. So I haven't been able to go to the court either.
I understand. So now we're gonna go to stuff that's really making you mad, angering you right now, and I call that. You know what really grinds my gears?
What?
No, that's what the question is called.
Okay. But about everything in life, or just
No, what's something that you would like to change in racquetball, and if you had a magic wand, or if you could change it, how would you change it?
Oh, I would definitely change the way some racquetball players see the sport in general.
Okay.
Like some people, like there's a lot of like good players, so talented, but they don't give the value that it has, and it's like I kind of get it because it's really hard to live out of racquetball, just racquetball, unless you're not in the States. But I think that if every player, no matter what, just train and see the sport as people see other sports like tennis, like squash, like whatever, and train really hard, not just for a couple of months or years, no, just like any other athlete do, I think the sport will grow. But some of them like practice the sport as juniors, and then they grew up and they started to do well, and then because they couldn't make it to the number one, they're like, oh, so I think it's better to do something in your life, and then they just quit. And since we're such a small sport, that hurt the sport a lot.
Right. Right. I definitely understand. And yeah, that's one of the things I'm trying to do with this here is I'm trying to get the word out a little bit so we can spread the word about racquetball because we might not be a sport that's going to get as big as tennis or basketball, but I definitely think we can get as big as squash or poker. And those are incredibly high money sports that even the 100th player is still going to start making money.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I think it's a process and it's the effort of so many people. So if all these like young players start to like studying and then they say no, I can't really do this, like I can't really play racquetball and study at the same time, it's like, I mean, they're capable. It's just it's hard, but many players have done that.
Absolutely. And it takes the whole community of racquetball to get together and work it out. We have to start working on that.
Exactly.
That's a very good one. I liked that. Okay, let's go back to the LPRT. It looks like you girls have a whole lot of fun on the LPRT outside of events.
Yeah, definitely.
And based on a little bit of Instagram snooping, I've heard you sing.
Yes.
So yeah, I think you just had some red cheeks right there. Would you like to sing us a few bars? I think you won the talent show at one of the opens.
Yeah, that's something I really I worked so hard for it. Like I worked like a month to put that together.
Would you like to sing a bar or two of that song for us?
No, like it was like a remix I came up with. But
next time.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, next time maybe. I don't really consider myself a singer. It's just like a hobby thing.
Yeah, of course. But you know, everybody likes to know about other people, and I knew you were good at that. And so, although it's not going to be your number one talent, which is probably racquetball, it's something that you're very talented at.
Yeah, it's something I do just once in a while. Like I don't, and I'm like a shy person. It's really hard for me to like perform in front of people or even though if I have just one person looking at me, like for me it was really hard at first to play that ukulele just in front of, I don't know, my parents.
Yeah, I definitely understand. And so, can you tell us some of the other fun things you girls do outside of events? Like what is some of the cool things that you have gotten to do in the past year?
I don't know. We just have such a good time doing whatever. Like if we go to have dinner somewhere, or if we just go to the mall, or if we go to, I don't know, just being at the hotel room. We pretty much never get bored. Like somebody always come up with something, and I really have a good time during tournaments.
And
like,
and right now you're training in Mexico, is that correct?
Yes, I'm in Chihuahua, Mexico.
Why did you decide to move over to Mexico for a minute?
Because where I used to train in Colombia, they demolished the court, and we only had like this old club. Like I don't know, they closed it more than 15 years ago, and the owner was really kind, and he told us that we could train there because we didn't have anywhere else to go. That those are the only courts we have right now in the whole city. So before Phantom Games, like Maria Paz told me that she thought that if I wanted to train, I needed a better place to be, and so we started thinking where to go, and when Mexico is like the capital of racquetball right now, and like Mexico and Bolivia, but Bolivia is pretty far, so Mexico is right next to the States, and then we consider a couple of cities like Monterrey, San Luis, but then in Chihuahua we realized it was a small city with great players. Everywhere you go, you have really good players, and I don't know, like everything was like it was meant to be here. I don't know how to explain it. And since we got here, we've been having like such a good experience with people, with the clubs, with players, with everything, and we're so happy to be here.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to go play my first tournament in Mexico. I'm very excited to come down eventually.
Yeah, you definitely should.
So I think wrapping up here, do you want to thank your sponsors, your family, your spouse, everybody?
Yes, I think that's one, like that's the main reason, like not reason, but if it wasn't for all these people, I think I wouldn't be here. It's my Gearbox Racquetball. I've been with them for the last at least, I think, 10 years now. And they're more like family, more than just a brand. And also to the federation, the Colombian Federation. It's been like constant support from them. The Olympic Committee, Colombian Olympic Committee, the JMG Foundation, and also like to Maripa. She's been with me since we've been together for almost 6 years now, and she's been my support in so many aspects of my life.
Yeah, you guys are such a cute couple.
Thank you. And also to 360 Degree Academy, they started to support me a few months ago, and I'm really thankful for that.
Is that the Warrigans?
Yes. Also to a couple of more people that they don't want me to mention them, but they know who they are, and I'm really thankful because they've been there, and it's really, like, I'm really thankful for them. And also like my coach Juan Manuel Gutierrez, everybody knows him as Guti, because he's been my coach since I started playing. My family, I miss them so much, and I know that they miss me too, but they're happy that I'm doing what I love.
Yeah, I also agree with you. It looks like you're having a ton of fun in Mexico with an incredible group of players, and I know I got really lucky being just living in Austin, since Austin is basically one of the main cities in the U.S., and so I think you're also in one of the best places.
Yes, thank you, and I really look forward to one day go to Austin, because I've heard that it's a great city.
Well, I promise to invite you to my first outdoor open.
Thank you, that'll be great.
Yes, so hopefully we can get a Tier 5 LPRT event or something going.
Great.
So that's all for today. Thank you Cristina. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and have a wonderful day.